What if I told you that your feet might be warning you about kidney failure long before your doctor ever brings it up? Not through a blood test, not through a urine sample, but through small, quiet changes happening right below your ankles. Most people never think to connect their feet with their kidneys, and that's exactly why so many early warning signs are missed. In fact, there is one sign we'll get to later that shocks almost everyone when they first hear about it because it feels completely unrelated. Yet, by the time many people finally realize what's happening, significant damage has already been done. If you stay with me, you may learn something today that helps you or someone you love catch a serious health issue earlier than most people ever do. I'm Dr. Robert Harrison, and after years of working with older adults, I've learned that the body often warns us in quiet ways, especially through the feet. Let me start by asking you a simple question. Have your shoes ever felt tighter, even though your weight hasn't changed? Have you noticed your ankles looking puffier at the end of the day, or socks leaving deeper marks than they used to? Maybe you've brushed it off telling yourself it's just part of getting older or that you were on your feet too long. That's what most people do. But here's the truth. Most people don't hear soon enough. Your kidneys and your feet are deeply connected. And when your kidneys begin to struggle, your feet are often the first place your body sends warning signals. These signals don't arrive loudly. They don't demand attention. They whisper. And because they whisper, people ignore them. Your kidneys have a big job. They filter waste, balance fluids, regulate minerals, and help control blood pressure. When they start falling behind, even slightly, fluid begins to accumulate in the body. Gravity pulls that fluid downward, and the lowest point of your body becomes the collection zone. That's why one of the earliest and most common signs of kidney trouble is swelling in the feet and ankles. This swelling often develops slowly. It may not hurt, it may come and go, it may be worse in the evening and better in the morning. Because of that, people normalize it. They assume it's circulation, arthritis, or simply age. But persistent swelling in both feet is not something to ignore. It's one of the body's earliest signals that the kidneys may not be removing excess fluid as efficiently as they should. What makes this particularly tricky is that kidney-related swelling doesn't always show up alongside pain or other dramatic symptoms. You can feel completely fine otherwise. No fever, no nausea, no obvious illness, just feet that look and feel different than they used to. That's why this sign is often missed. People treat the symptom instead of asking what's causing it. They elevate their feet. They change shoes. They buy compression socks. All of those things may temporarily help the swelling, but they don't address the underlying issue if the kidneys are involved. Another subtle change many people notice in their feet involves the skin itself. Over time, some people begin to see dryness, flaking, cracking, or an unusual shine to the skin on their feet. Others notice a pale grayish or slightly yellow tone that wasn't there before. At first glance, this looks like nothing more than dry skin. Lotion seems like the obvious solution, but healthy kidneys help maintain the balance of nutrients and minerals in the bloodstream. And when that balance is disrupted, the skin often reflects it. The feet, being farthest from the heart and dependent on good circulation, are especially vulnerable. Skin changes that don't improve with proper care can be an early sign that something deeper is happening internally. I once heard from a retired school teacher who said she spent months trying different creams on her feet because they were constantly dry and irritated. Nothing helped. She assumed it was age-related skin changes. It wasn't until much later during routine blood work that she learned her kidneys were already functioning at a reduced level. Looking back, she realized her feet had been trying to warn her long before she ever felt sick. That's the pattern we see again and again. The signs are there, but they're misunderstood. Pain in the feet is another warning sign that often gets misattributed. This isn't the sharp pain of an injury or the stiffness of arthritis. It's a deeper, dull ache in the feet or ankles that seems to come from nowhere. Kidney dysfunction can interfere with calcium and phosphorus balance in the body, affecting bones, joints, and muscles. Over time, this imbalance can create discomfort that lingers even when you rest. Many people take pain relievers or assume the ache is just part of aging. But persistent foot pain that doesn't respond well to typical remedies deserves attention, especially when it appears alongside other changes. Then there are the strange sensations people have trouble describing: tingling, burning, numbness, feet that feel like they're falling asleep for no reason. Sometimes the feet feel cold even when the room is warm. These sensations are often blamed on circulation or nerve issues like diabetes, But kidney disease can also damage nerves over time. As waste products build up in the blood, they irritate nerve endings, particularly in the lower extremities. This condition develops gradually. At first, it might happen only occasionally. Eventually, it becomes more frequent and more uncomfortable because it doesn't happen all at once. People adapt to it instead of investigating it. Up to this point, the signs we've talked about are important, but they're also somewhat expected. Swelling, dryness, pain, tingling. Most people can imagine how these might be connected to overall health. But the next sign is the one that truly surprises people because almost no one connects it to kidney function at first. It's the kind of symptom that sends people down the wrong path for months or even years before the real cause is discovered. Before we get to that, it's important to understand why the feet play such a central role in revealing kidney problems. Your body prioritizes vital organs when resources are limited. When filtration slows and waste builds up, the body focuses on protecting the brain and heart. Areas like the feet become secondary. That's why changes often show up there first. The feet are not the problem, they're the messengers. And like many messengers, they're ignored until they start shouting. The real danger in ignoring these signs is that early kidney disease often has no obvious symptoms. Many people feel completely normal until kidney function has already declined significantly. By the time fatigue, nausea, or appetite changes appear, damage may already be advanced. That's why recognizing early indirect signals is so important. Your feet may be giving you a chance to act sooner rather than later. As we continue, the next sign we're going to talk about is the one that most people never expect, never associate with kidney health, and almost always treat as a simple skin issue. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't swell, it doesn't even look serious, but it can be one of the clearest clues that waste products are building up in the bloodstream. And once you understand why it happens, you'll never look at foot discomfort the same way again. That's where we'll pick up in the next part, along with the final signs and what you should do if any of this sounds familiar, because your feet may already be trying to tell you something important. The question is whether you'll notice in time. If you've stayed with me this far, it's because something we've talked about already feels familiar. Maybe you've noticed swelling, changes in your skin, odd sensations, or discomfort in your feet and wondered if it was just part of getting older. That's completely understandable. But now we're reaching the point that surprises almost everyone, because this next sign doesn't look serious at all. In fact, most people treat it as a minor annoyance, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Let me ask you something very specific. Do your feet ever itch for no clear reason? Not because of a rash? Not because of athlete's foot? Not because you stepped on something, just a deep, persistent itch that comes and goes. Sometimes worse at night, sometimes strong enough to wake you up. You look at your skin and it appears normal, maybe a little dry, but nothing that explains how intense the itching feels. Most people reach for lotion or antifungal cream and assume that's the end of it. But here's the shocking truth. Chronic itching in the feet can be a sign that your kidneys are struggling to filter waste from your blood. When the kidneys aren't doing their job properly, toxins begin to build up in the bloodstream. Those toxins don't just stay inside your body quietly. They irritate nerve endings, especially in the skin. Doctors refer to this as uremic itching, and it's one of the most common yet misunderstood symptoms of declining kidney function. The reason it shows up in the feet is the same reason many of the earlier signs appear there first. The feet are far from the heart, highly sensitive, and often the first place nerve irritation becomes noticeable. What makes this symptom particularly misleading is that the skin itself often looks normal. There may be no redness, no bumps, no obvious explanation. So people treat the surface while the real problem continues to worsen underneath. Many people live with this itching for months or even years without ever connecting it to kidney health. They assume it's dry air, aging skin, or allergies. Meanwhile, waste products continue to accumulate in the blood. By the time kidney disease is diagnosed, the itching has often been present far longer than anyone realized. That's why this sign is so shocking when people finally learn the truth behind it. It feels unrelated, harmless, and easy to ignore, but it isn't. Now let's move on to a sign that signals the body may already be under more serious strain. Have you ever had a small cut, blister, or sore on your foot that just wouldn't heal? At first it looks minor. You clean it, maybe cover it, and expect it to improve. But weeks go by and it's still there. Sometimes it looks like it's healing, then suddenly it looks worse again. This is not something to take lightly. When kidney function declines, it affects circulation, oxygen delivery, and immune response. All three are essential for healing. When they're compromised, wounds, especially on the feet, heal much more slowly. This is particularly important for older adults because slow-healing foot sores can become serious very quickly. An infection that starts small can spread. In severe cases, untreated wounds can lead to hospitalization or even amputation. What makes this sign especially dangerous is that people often focus only on the wound itself. They treat it as a local problem rather than a systemic one. But slow healing is often a sign that the body's internal support systems are struggling, and the kidneys play a central role in those systems. The final sign involves something many people notice but rarely question: cold feet or changes in foot color. Do your feet often feel colder than the rest of your body even when the room is warm? Or have you noticed that your feet sometimes look pale, bluish, purplish, or darker than they used to? These changes can indicate poor circulation. Kidney disease is closely linked to blood vessel damage and reduced blood flow. As kidney function declines, blood vessels can stiffen and narrow, making it harder for blood to reach the extremities. Once again, the feet are the first place this becomes obvious. Cold feet and color changes are often dismissed as circulation issues without anyone asking why circulation might be impaired. But when these symptoms appear alongside swelling, itching, numbness, or slow healing, they form a pattern. And that pattern tells a story about what's happening inside the body. This isn't about one symptom on its own. It's about the combination. It's about the trend over time. When you step back and look at the big picture, it becomes clear why the feet are such powerful messengers. The kidneys filter your blood and regulate fluid, minerals, and waste. When they fall behind, fluid accumulates, toxins build up, nerves become irritated, circulation weakens, and healing slows. All of that shows up most clearly at the lowest point of your body. Your feet are not randomly affected. They are reflecting what's happening internally. If you've noticed one of these signs occasionally, there's no need to panic. But if you've noticed several of them, or if they've been getting worse over time, it's important not to ignore them. This doesn't mean diagnosing yourself. It means paying attention. It means mentioning these symptoms to your doctor instead of assuming they're unrelated. It means asking questions about kidney function and requesting appropriate blood and urine tests when necessary. One of the biggest challenges with kidney disease is that it often progresses silently. Many people feel fine until kidney function has already declined significantly. By the time fatigue, nausea, appetite changes, or other more obvious symptoms appear, damage may already be advanced. That's why early awareness matters so much. Small signs, when recognized early, can lead to testing, monitoring, and lifestyle changes that slow progression and protect kidney health. The good news is that early kidney disease can often be managed. Simple steps like staying properly hydrated, managing blood pressure, controlling blood sugar, and adjusting diet can make a meaningful difference. These steps are far more effective when started early rather than late. Knowledge gives you options. Ignorance takes them away. At this point, you may be thinking back over your own experiences. Maybe certain things you've brushed off now feel more important. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Your body has been communicating with you all along. Learning how to listen is one of the most valuable skills you can develop as you age. So, here's the question I want to leave you with. Which of these foot signs have you noticed? Or which ones will you start paying closer attention to tonight? Take a moment to reflect. And if you feel comfortable, share your experience. You never know who else might recognize their own symptoms through your story and take action sooner rather than